I'm a great fan of summer roach fishing with hemp and tears, but in late June it's a bit too early for the river roach to really be feeding properly. That doesn't mean you can't catch a big one now and again, but mostly the roach are fairly slow to respond to hemp and tears. You have to persevere, and a lot of the fish you get are quite small. I fished a session for a couple of hours on Throop Fishery recently, and I had about 15 fish or so, mostly roach, a few small dace, one or two small chublets, and even a bleak on tears. One of the roach was much bigger, and this is the one on the video. It's over a pound. Lovely condition roach for early season, because often they are a bit thin. The roach are mostly feeding in the weed, and this one didn't want to come out of the weed. It went straight into the bank, got stuck in the weed completely, but after leaving it for a few seconds, it wriggled its way free and came in. Later in the short session, I saw a big fish move across the swim, and I thought it might be a carp, but I've been talking to someone who knows the water quite well, and he says there's quite a big grass carp, around about 15 pounds in that area. So I think that's what I saw. Didn't expect to hit it, which might be a good thing. I've hooked big carp in this area on tears before now, and there are some very big carp in Throop still. I fish fine in the summer. On this session I'm fishing a homemade stick float, in case you're wondering what on earth a bright blue float with a red stem is. It's got a red plastic paintbrush stem for weight, which is just how John Dean used to make his stick floats, and it takes about 5 number 6 shot with a couple of number 8s below that, with a 0.09 hook length to a size 16 very fine wire hook. This one's a Tubertini series 4, although I mostly use barbless hooks nowadays. Main line is £3 Dave Harrell light float line, and I've combined it with a John Allerton Premier match rod, which is a stick float rod, although you could fish a waggler with it. It's a lovely tippy rod that will bend through, plenty of power further down if you need it. A double figure pike on this rod, but because it doesn't fold in half like some very soft rods, it's absorbent, but because there's a bit of poke in it, if you need it, it will get the bigger fish out of the weed if you need to, despite fishing fine. Later in the summer I'm hoping to get the roach going much better. It is very early, as I say. There's not much sign of roach or dace around at the moment. The fish are there, but it's a matter of finding them. This final clip is of the grass carp moving across my swim from left to right. It starts off more or less where I'm catapulting the hemp and where the float lands, moves across, staying more or less at the same line, and then disappears out of sight behind the rushes to my right.